podcast. Got my wife, Abby.
Hello.
And then Tonya
Good morning.
Busse from Klawock.
/ Jamaica.
Yep, the one and only.
Yeah, here in Ketchikan via Jamaica, via Klawock. Tonya, your last 3 days have been interesting. You catch a mega king salmon, then you wake up the next morning, you ride your bike 30 miles to get on the IFA ferry to come over here to Ketchikan to go to the it was the
trail half marathon.
Trail half marathon. And then were you like the co-director or like the director or the entertainment director of the baby shower yesterday?
I wouldn't give you that much
give
credit.
myself, at best, I was an enthusiastic participant.
But you did come up with the AI-generated baby game, which was kind of weird, but also really funny and cool.
You know, I have to thank Reddit for that outstanding game because I wouldn't have thought of it on my own, but it was indeed a hit.
So you find pictures of us, you had a picture of me, you had a picture of Abby, and then you put in a couple different celebrities. So there was the AI-generated baby that Abby and I might potentially make. And then there's or toddler, I guess. Toddler. Yeah, different.
All babies look the same, so that
was
a little tough.
Right. Toddlers, and then you put in some celebrities. So that was pretty. It didn't cost you any money, did it? Except for to print the photos.
No, it almost did. I had a 3-day free trial, so I had to crank out all those babies quickly and then cancel her. But yeah, no, it was the thing that you guys don't know. It's like you saw the 9 that I felt like would make the game most fun. I probably looked at like 50 to 100.
So you put time into it. That's good. That's good. What was the worst one? What was the one that you didn't share that was the worst one?
Oh, man. There was definitely some very creepy babies. Hopefully, there's never a real life Abby and Barack baby because that one, I didn't like it.
Comfortable. Yeah.
But the problem, a lot of them just sort of looked the same, which by the same, I mean exactly like Abby. So good luck getting your gene pool in there because.
Yeah. It seemed like everyone that was me had bigger eyes. Mm-hmm. But then everything else is just like, that's very clearly Abby.
Yeah, you got slanty eyes, I guess.
Yeah. So the beginning of the week started with your king salmon. So why don't you tell about your king salmon, as much detail or as little detail as you want.
If you insist on talking about the fish, Jeff, I will do it.
First, can you tell us how many times you've been out fishing on Prince of Wales this year?
Who invited Abby on the podcast?
She's the fact checker.
That was my second time fishing this summer. But, you know, a lifetime angler. So, no, it was awesome. It was a after work trip. I got invited out with my friends. Shout out to Jonah Stone, #1 fisher guy. But yeah, went out with Natalie and Jonah and my friends Amy and Kelly, and it was a great day actually. The fish were really biting. The seas were super calm. Everyone was having a good time. Whales were going nuts, yada, yada, yada. You know, one of those kind of days where everything's kind of falling into place. And yeah, like always, it was like, okay, one more fish, last run kind of deal, because it was getting late. And
you're like sorting through, since you were catching a whole bunch, were there like some 10, 15 pounders, like some little fish that you were letting go, or?
No, everything was decent size, to be honest. We were really happy, and we were doing that thing where we'd catch the fish and we'd all be like super excited, and we had the little hand scale on the boat, and we'd be like, oh, it's looking pretty good, and then it's like, oh, it's the same 21 pounder we've been catching all night. But no, it was exciting. It was definitely, you know, I don't have like a super impressive attention span is what I hear, so it was enough for me to be like into the fishing because there was a fish on most of the night. So it's really, it was one of those things like already a great trip. Like we didn't really need the super big fish, but you know, we were happy about it. But yeah, no, it was the last one. And it was definitely like, It's hard with fishing because it's like you see what you want to see, and like as you're reeling up the big fish, you're like, oh my gosh, I think it's the biggest fish I've ever seen. But I always feel that way, so it wasn't until it broke the net that I was like, oh, this is actually the biggest fish. So that was pretty sweet. And yeah, once we got that in the boat, I was almost speechless, which is, I think, speaks for itself. So yeah, super, super awesome day out there.
Were you guys mooching or trolling?
We were trolling.
Nice. And then what was the fight like?
That's the thing that surprised me. It took so much line initially. Like, I definitely felt the difference, like there was something big on there. But then it just sort of came up, like, I mean, it didn't fight not long. I don't think I was fighting it much longer than an average size king salmon. And even when it came to the surface, it was like, I don't know if it was just tired of being a fish or what, but pretty much hopped in the boat with us. So nothing too crazy.
Yeah, some of those, they'll come up and then fight a little bit and come in. Other times they kind of stay down. And sometimes that first initial run is just a screaming run. And other times it's because a sea lion got it. Have you ever had one taken by a sea lion?
Unfortunately, I have.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So you get in the boat. It's large. Did you? That was it. You rushed in to get it weighed for the Derby.
Yeah, there's a little short video of me just kind of jumping around, losing my mind, and then, we went ahead and bled it. So, which it was good because obviously that's a lot of meat, and you want to make sure we were running out of room in our cooler. Good problem to have on a boat. But we were pretty far out, and it was pretty late into the evening. And I guess Black Bear closes at 10 o'clock now, so it was a little bit of a close. We were surprised because at first it's like, okay, we're probably not going to make it to enter this fish into the Derby. But then it was like, okay, we maybe could make it if like all the stars align and we really commit. So we zipped back. We like sprinted up. I'd like to say that I like carried it like high up in victory and like ran to the truck, but I was like dragging this fish up the dock trying to get there. But yeah, everyone was committed, so we got it there just in the nick of time. And we were definitely like, Bobby, as we're like pulling into Black Bear. And yeah,
Bobby still works there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby made a comment that it was the first time he saw a Busse on the King Salmon, on the King Salmon Derby board. So,
and he's been there for a while, so that says something.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a compliment or not, but I chose to take it that way.
A statement of fact.
Yeah, but no, it was great stuff.
Yeah. So, what was the official weight that they said?
Yeah, it's 42.5.
42.5. It's a good fish.
Yeah.
What's
40,
the biggest
45 if anyone's listening.
Yeah.
We'll just.
What was the biggest fish you ever caught? Well, I guess king salmon
King
overall,
salmon,
because I'm sure you have some pretty big halibut.
Yeah, I caught a decent halibut last year, but the king salmon, gosh, maybe 25. I mean, I've caught some decent ones, but nothing to get me on a podcast. So
Well, I think you're going to be on the podcast regardless, so whether you liked it or not. Yeah. What about halibut? Biggest halibut?
I was worried that was about to be the next question, so I was already trying to remember. I caught a nice looking halibut last summer that was, I want to say like 170 pounds.
Yeah, that was the one with Brooklyn and Justin.
Yeah, and we had to like estimate the weight,
Yeah.
right? Because it was like super big.
Because we measured it was like basically as long as you are tall, right?
Yeah, if you hop into the Island Guide, you can see a photo. But yeah, that was pretty cool too. And that one was much worse of a fight because I remember multiple people on board that I will not name thought I had hooked the bottom of the ocean, and I was starting to wonder as well. So that one was pretty wild. But yeah, anyway, if you're listening, take me fishing because great luck. I'll tell you that right now.
That is true.
Yeah. I think fighting halibut is just monotonous and horrible. And fishing for halibut can also be monotonous and horrible. But it's probably because I'm not really good at it. I don't really know good spots. But it's nice to get some of those 20, 30 pounders. But those big ones, it's nice to have at least one story at some point.
Yeah. I don't know if we could catch a fish that big in our skiff because, like, what would we do?
I think we'd harpoon it.
We'd get off the boat.
was going
And
to
then you
say,
just swim at home.
who's the better swimmer?
Oh, we just
I
have
think.
to. We'd get it on the side and we'd just slow putt back in.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But like, I just feel like one of you would have to be in the water with the fish, just in case.
We'd have to shoot it, kill it, and then I don't know. Maybe we could try to get something pretty big into the boat. But people have. But the people have also probably flipped their boats or had water go over the side, trying to get boats. I know one of the first years we moved up, someone got so frazzled by a big halibut, they brought it on the boat, then they shot it.
Oh my.
It's not ideal.
Then you got a hole in the boat.
Then you got a hole in the boat, but
But you've heard stories of people like the halibut has like injured people. Like the big halibut got on the boat and like, I don't know.
that's why people will slit just below the tail so that it can't flop around as much, doesn't have that leverage. But I think if the thing is like maybe flopping around a little bit while you have the knife and you're trying to cut that, it could also be dangerous too. But
Like the adrenaline, you're so fired up, you just do weird stuff.
yeah.
Like bring a flopping 170-pound fish on board. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you should have a plan in place.
For when that never happens.
Yeah. Perfectly executed plan never happens, but to have something on file is probably a good idea. So how was the race?
Oh, yeah. The Ketchikan Running Club always puts on fantastic races. Even though I've never lived here, I feel that it's like my closest running club. They did a trail half, and it was definitely traily. So I've been doing some road running lately, so it definitely was a test of like stability for me, trying to hop over all of those little routes and stuff. But it was good. There was a good crew of us kind of sticking together, and the vibe was like competitive, but also just like a lot of people just celebrating that we like to run in the rain and do cool stuff. So definitely enjoyed it. Tied for third with a couple of other ladies that I was running with. And yeah, I would recommend 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I like being in those situations where it's competitive enough to be serious, but not overly competitive and not fun. Like adult league. You play an adult league, if it's competitive, people care, it's fun, but when people start just hacking, not quite as fun. And I can't be competitive in racing because I'm so slow. So
Yeah. No, the Ketchikan Running Club races are always super fun. Like they go all out with like prizes and everything, and that was the first year for the Trail Half Marathon, so I think they kind of went all out, and I obviously didn't run it this year, but I'm hoping to run it next year.
Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, the volunteers were all super enthusiastic, and you got the cowbells, and it was well marked, I think. And I hadn't been on a lot of those trails. Like, obviously, I've done the lake a couple times, but some of the other trails were really neat and well maintained. So, yeah, it was definitely like, did I want to miss your baby shower to run this event? I mean, that felt a little bit rude, but you know, if I had to miss your baby shower, it would have almost been a good way to do it because it was a cool thing to do. But it worked out for just so everyone knows I did make it to both events.
basketball is your main sport in high school. You ran cross country though, right? All 4 years?
I tried. Running really came around for me later in life, but yeah, I ran Klawock cross country back in the good days when they just sent us off, and we went to the Klawock River Trail before it was a trail, and just ran through the humpies for most of the time. So it was good.
And then you had the knee injury junior year, or is it senior year?
Junior year, I think, was the ACL. Yeah, that's been a minute ago.
But was it like the running part of the training, and do you run now because you don't play basketball as much, or how is the injury and the sports and all that stuff transitioned? Because like the high school athlete to becoming like a lifelong athlete is something that not everybody does. You played basketball in high school, then you're never athletic again, and that was it.
Yeah.
Versus,
No, I feel like there's definitely like two options for you if you went hard in high school sports, because I do find a lot of us like switched over to running just because we can't not compete in something. And even if we're not very good at it or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just like I don't know, you get comfortable being uncomfortable. So you just want to put yourself in situations to kind of challenge you a little bit. Because I feel like I do talk to a lot of other like adult, like I would describe us as maybe like zealous recreational. There's probably a better way. Anyway, and it's almost always people that played sports, at least in high school, maybe even some in college. But yeah, I think for me, running was just, ironically, it was like, okay, this is just like cheap and easy to do. And then, of course, as you get into any hobby, it becomes less cheap and a little more time consuming.
How cheap is the triathlon?
You know, it does require more gear than I'm used to. It does require, I'm doing, I think it's called the Achman Tri, something like that, up in Juneau. I shouldn't say first. I've done some sprint distances. But
what's the length on the sprints?
The run, I think it varies a little, but the run is usually, or I guess, okay, we'll go in order. The swim is, the one I just did was, I think, about 750 meters, which might not seem far, but man, it feels far if you did not learn how to swim. And then the bike, the last one I did was cool because it was more of a mountain bike course, and I think the bike was a little longer than maybe it needed to be, I personally thought. But something in the ballpark of like a 20-mile bike ride, and then the run was a 5K. So for the Olympic one, if I'm getting these distances right, like the one I'm about to do, it just kind of doubles everything. So you swim, it's close to a mile. It's like 1,500 meters, and then you bike. I think it's in maybe a 40K or something, and then the run is a 10K. So, yeah. To answer your question, no, the bike is worth more than my car, but I think it's going to be a really fun hobby because it's, part of it is like the physical challenge of just doing things, but then a lot of it is also kind of the mental side of it and just wanting to learn new things and put yourself, I think it's really important to put yourself in situations where you're a beginner, and just have that experience. And that seems to be most of my experience. So
the variety is nice too. But cause I think like when you're in high school, you kind of just do like what your coaches tell you or like whatever. It's just like something you do. But then when you kind of move past that and you're like making your own choices about like, oh, am I going to spend 10 hours a week running or biking or whatever? I don't know. It's more like, cause it makes you feel good. And like in everything else that you do, you're like, you feel strong and you feel capable. And it's not just like, I don't know.
Not to mention healthy. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
At the Olympic triathlon distance, 32 total miles, 0.93 mile swim, 25 mile cycle, 6.2 mile run. So 1.5K, 40K, 10K.
Yeah, and then it's like, if you swim 0.93 miles, do you just get like, I don't know. And the big problem, this is the kind of weird stuff you don't think about. My first try, like the little sprint one I did, I was like, okay, just like finish it, right? At that point, the swimming was really going to be a problem. Something I didn't think about is like in the pool, there's lines everywhere and you can see everything and you just follow the line. In the open ocean, man, if you don't pop your head up pretty frequently, I swim as if I've never, ever been in a straight line before. I mean, it's like circles. So I'll definitely get a full mile, I'm sure, with my route. But yeah, good stuff.
My cousin he did his first, and he did a lot of training in the pool, obviously. And he said one of the biggest problems was dealing with the salt water. So you were like super buoyant, but just like the taste of salt and just that it was like a psychological difference that you had the waves and you had the current, you had everything else and the splashing. He said that was tough to deal with.
Yeah, I've never done like a really big triathlon, and I don't know that this one will be. But people do say like swimming, when you train by yourself in a pool and then you get in with like everyone and people are like bumping you, and I don't know. We're not quite to that problem yet, but I can see how that would be like a nightmare. A real Titanic-y situation. I don't know.
Yeah, no lane to stay in, but if you swim in circles, you're going to be in contact with people. Abby, how many long distance runs have you done? I've done 2 full marathons and like 5 or 6 half marathons, but it's been a little while.
It's not. I've done 1 full marathon.
Is that the Colorado the Trail,
and
right?
Maybe only 1 half marathon.
You've done a whole bunch of.
I've done a bunch. I really, when I was in Wyoming, I really liked the trail races that are like from 5 to 10 miles long. Mostly, actually, they were like around 10 miles.
We had the one that was like up a mountain. Which one?
Yeah,
was that?
I know the Gel Mountain Run. That one is my favorite. I ran that like 4 or 5 years in a row.
It's my least favorite.
But yeah, I don't know. The long distance running, I just don't like to train that much. Just gets boring to me. So that kind of like middle distance where you still feel like you're running relatively fast is kind of ideal for me. And also I think I like the mountain runs because I just excel at mountains.
It's true. My favorite, I have to mention my favorite time. Abby was doing your first marathon, right? This was your first marathon.
Oh, yeah.
The trail in Colorado. I'm trying to think what that run was called. It was only for women. It was like, anyway, the Valkyrie Trail Run.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. And I was running the half marathon, and Abby was ahead of me per usual. And she called me, and she was like, "Hey, just so you know, there's like a rattlesnake on the trail. If you know anything about me," I stopped. I was like, "Well, that's the end of that. I'm obviously not going to go near that." And then a little part of me is like, she just could have said that just to deter me. Like, it's exactly what you would say if you wanted me to drop out of a race. But I never saw it. I kept running. So.
Was that the one that you did after the appendectomy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a rough race, but it was fun.
Yeah, I remember the doctor said, or you asked something about what about training or running, and he said, yeah, whatever you can do, comfortable. And you said that you had a marathon that you'd signed up for, and he was like, well, probably won't be doing that. And I was like, well, she's going to be doing it now because you say that she can't do it, then she will.
Yeah, I mean, I already paid for it, so really, I was obligated.
Yeah.
I think other people might have saw that situation differently, but you did well. I think you placed in that race. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I think I got like 3rd. I mean, out of probably like 20 runners, but
Yeah, it was inspiring to me. It's like, okay, I guess I should run a marathon now that Abby's done it straight from the hospital.
yeah, now you've way exceeded me, so.
At least maybe when you start getting into triathlons, then it'll be. But I know you're.
What kind of bike do you have for your? Is it Cannondale and then how much ballpark? What did it cost? And did you move up from like a heavy intro bike to something better? How'd the bike thing go?
The bike thing went well only because a friend of mine, he helped me out a lot with it because at first the world of bikes is a place, let me tell you. So it is a Cannondale, but I was in Jamaica, right? So I was like looking on the Facebook Marketplace, which is my go-to source of anything, and there's like a crazy range of prices and a crazy amount of bikes, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So a friend of mine, he just sent me a link to like a REI sale and was like, "This is the bike you need," and I was like, "Great." So REI shipped that puppy down to my house, which was nice of them. Fun fact about bikes, the more you pay, the less it comes with, which is surprising to me. So my bike showed up, and I generally rely on other people to do everything for me, but I was like, Tonya, you have to learn how to do the bike, like put it together and stuff, because otherwise, when you're traveling, you have to be able to dismantle this. It's not a simple sport anymore. So anyway, I put that guy together. My brother-in-law helped me put it together, my brother, and they both were like, "You lost the pedals." And I was like, listen, I didn't lose the pedals. I was so careful. I know where every screw is that came in this box. And so I was about to call REI and be like, "Hey, I paid like whatever $900 for this bike and you didn't even send me pedals." But when I got on the website, there was in all bold letters that little guy that said this doesn't come with pedals, because apparently I should have like a preference of pedal by this point in my career. So I had to take the pedals off my mom's bike, which she's probably finding out right now. So yeah, funny things that you learn. But anyway, yeah, got her from REI. It's a gravel bike, I guess, so you can kind of use it for roads or trails, depending. Hopefully it will last me a while.
Mm-hmm. Is the true road bikes super narrow and then super smooth tires to reduce the friction? But notice that your tires, so if you did have to go off or you're on some of these gravelly / poor pavement roads that we have up here, it's not just going to immediately pop.
Yeah, a big criteria for where I choose to live is potholes. So all the roads I've ever been near are like half trail. So I think it's going to be nice to have but I guess you can put other wheels on it depending on what you got going on. So, yeah, hopefully I will learn a lot about bikes in the next year.
Yeah. We got new bikes. Or I got a new bike a couple years ago down in Wyoming. And it was amazing just how much lighter. I got a larger frame. I had a GT before that, and it was, the nicest bike I'd ever owned. I bought a Trek bike at
let me
JT
just actually
Brown's
start
when I was 10 or whatever, so that's what I was running for a long time. It's like a Trek 800 from way back in the day, which was
You never
heavy.
had the Huffy?
Well, I had the Huffy before that. I had the red Huffy that I took to the river. That was the fishing bike that you just ditch in the woods. And then the first 10-speed was that Huffy. Or maybe, I don't know if it was an 800. Does that mean it was 8-speed? Is that even that a thing?
I don't know.
But with gears, that was the big bike. And then I had a GT, which was nice, but this new.
Well, yeah. So I was gonna say. So I think like one of the maybe second or third summers I came up here and we went hunting and we took out your bike and then you had borrowed a bike from a friend that was like old. And I had like a nice mountain bike down in Wyoming and I love mountain biking and I was like, yeah, we can bike up the 6 miles. It'll be great. And we get out here on these bikes, and they weigh like 40 pounds apiece. And I was like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
And it was like,
well, we borrowed one from Dave, right?
Yeah.
And that was hard-tailed, no suspension on anything.
Yeah.
And then mine had dual suspension, so I was getting no bang for my buck when I was. It was horrible.
I remember it was miserable.
It had the trailer.
And I was like, Jeff, your mind is going to be blown if we just get you like a new, doesn't even have to be a nice mountain bike, just a new one. Like, do you know what they make now?
Yeah, it was amazing. So it's a larger framed bike, but weighs like half. And it was fun to rip around Laramie area on those trails with that bike. And then riding it now, it's so nice, so easy, and it's a nice alternative to running. Sometimes it's okay to run, but just to pedal and go fast is nice.
Yeah, I wish we had more trails around here, but
yeah, if nothing else, I just wish that there was more shoulder. Some of the spots are so thin. We got some pretty good
By
bike
more
paths
shoulder,
around,
he
but
means a shoulder.
yeah, you're not on the guardrail when you're going around some of these corners. But yeah, I think that would be pretty nice. Maybe as the was it the restoration economy? What's the
yeah, like the recreation economy.
Recreation economy, yeah. So if we could convert some things, widen some things, and that'd be super nice. But that all takes money.
Well, I mean, they're doing all those new sidewalks in Ketchikan, so.
Yeah, which seem to be very similar. It definitely seems like they're just redoing the sidewalk to get rid of the grass that's growing.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So how's Jamaica?
Oh, man. Jamaica is amazing.
And why'd you go to Jamaica? You go from
Why not?
Klawock, Alaska to Wyoming for school to Colorado to teach there for a couple of years, and now you're in Jamaica.
I'm just trying to get closer to the sun every time I move. So, no, Jamaica was pretty random. I just found a school that looked really solid that I was excited about, and I just thought you got to start somewhere. So we hopped over there. And I think maybe a little bit I like it's a little, for an international school, it's a little bit smaller city and a little bit smaller school than a lot of them. So I think coming from rural Alaska, even though I like to think I'm like made it in the world, I think I still like to gravitate to the little bit smaller places. But yeah, it's been a great fit for me. People there have an awesome sense of humor and like to go on adventures, and so that I get to enjoy. And yeah, it's a very, I don't know. I mean, I laugh, and you guys will laugh at this because it's like, every once in a while, you know, you have other people that have moved there and stuff, and sometimes the complaint is like, oh, there's just kind of nothing to do. And I think when you started in Klawock, Alaska, that just never quite resonates because it seems like there's quite a lot to do. So yeah, I'm loving it.
How's the fishing?
You know, despite my claim to be a lifetime angler, I haven't gone fishing yet in Jamaica. Some of my students' parents do fish, and I need to take advantage and find my way onto a boat. But I know for the people that get out, it seems to be robust. I mean, I think when your frame of reference is Alaska, it's always a kind of hard to beat. But definitely, I'm on an island, so you'd think I could find a fish eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it seems like a nice place to pick up fly fishing. I think there's probably some flats fishing, might be some tarpon or bonefish or something like that around there. Just something new. That was the fun thing about fly fishing, just opening up all these doors to. I didn't really care about trout growing up. I wanted salmon, so trout were an afterthought. But just looking for. We did a lot of backpacking in Wyoming, looking for. Golden trout or cool cutthroats. It's just a whole other thing. But ocean fishing down in Jamaica sounds like a lot of fun. Potentially.
So are we going to go visit?
Maybe.
Anytime, guys.
I'm not
anytime.
Sure.
Take some of that paternity leave, and we'll just
traveling with the kid will be a whole new experience. Yeah. I've just been on so many flights where the kid just won't be quiet.
Not our kid.
That's what everybody says. There's the parents who say, why are you being like this? And the tone is, you can totally tell that the kid is always like this. And you're trying to just cover up the fact that there's no discipline and you ran out of candy bars to give the kid. And then there are other parents who generally sound bewildered or befuddled. Like, what is going on with you? Like, you are not you normally. We've done parenting. And for some reason, things are haywire. So, like, either one of those is a potential option. I don't know.
We won't be giving the kid candy bars, but...
No.
Yeah. I saw something online once where it was like, should there be, like, flights that kids aren't allowed on? Like, you pay a little more, and then there's, like, there's flights with kids and flights for without kids.
That's what first class is about, right?
You just keep separating people. Yeah, I think
I'm not saying it's, like, the right thing to do. It sounds pretty mean, but, like, I'd get on that plane.
People in this day and age are too used to their conveniences, and everything just always is perfect for them.
Get your kid off my plane, Abby.
I think having a crying kid on a plane, I'm actually doing you a service.
I mean, I think that's one way to look at it, that I haven't considered that point of view. But no, I think for me, if it's like if they're little, I kind of get it,
Well, and when they're little, they don't actually cry that loud.
If their feet are long enough to reach the back of my seat, now I feel like we need to address this.
Yeah.
But my sister's flown with all of her kids by herself, so I feel like maybe I have more empathy now.
I've been on planes with your sister, though, and her kids are all great.
I was like, what is she about to say on this podcast? Yeah, no, they're little rock stars. But, yeah, I think Jamaica would be a bold first trip with a newborn infant, but again, you're welcome to come down.
Yeah.
Do they have those little baby packs for bikes? You got to get one of those.
Just as a random aside, we're talking about being on an airplane and your rights versus other people's rights. It was only in 1988 that smoking was banned on airplanes.
What?
Because I can't even imagine being on an airplane this is the smoking section, which is this is a total side note, but when people talk about who's the greatest basketball player or whatever, I mean, you had basketball players in the 70s and 80s that were flying on planes between games in which there was smoking allowed. Like, that's not optimal for
they were probably
for
smoking.
Athletes, probably.
Am I the only one that thought the plane would go down immediately when the fire? I don't know. It seems very unsafe.
Yeah, they don't even let you bring lighters anymore.
No, things have
you
changed.
Can't clip your nails.
Well, that was back when smoking was healthy, because that's what Big Tobacco told us. That's what they told Congress, and so we knew it was healthy. It was only after 1988 that smoking became unhealthy. So.
Now we're going to have people vaping on these planes. My goodness.
Is that allowed? Can you?
No, I mean,
Definitely,
put your vape down.
definitely not. Definitely not. No, there was a kid yesterday when I was having breakfast with Eddie. The kid had a fork and a knife, and it was just ting, 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 ting. And I'd been sitting there, we'd been chatting, had just a great conversation. And then that family showed up, and then I couldn't take it because the New York cafe is fairly loud, but it's a fun, great cafe. But that ting-tinging was horrible. And then the mother didn't do anything, just allowed the kid to turn around and just smack those two things together, and it was...
Like, at least she wasn't on a screen?
I guess. I don't know. But, man, it's
We have a low bar.
brutal. That's why I think it's going to be terrified, because I'll think that I'm like that parent that everyone hates. But, again, that kid was a toddler and should have known better, or there should have been consequences.
Well, and, like, yeah, all you got to do is just take them away from the kid.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think so. It's
I can't offer
simple.
parenting advice on a podcast with no children.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's the whole thing right here is our perception, like, as not parents yet, and then...
I mean, I'm sure then the kid cries, and then you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It does seem, it's just such a wide range of parenting. I think, and like, you have to have, like, I think especially in like a restaurant or something, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, that like they're doing their best and whatever. But definitely those kind of ting situations.
No, yeah, I don't walk over there, ma'am. I do not believe you're doing your best, because your kid has silverware and is...
I see that your child is trying to give a toast, and my bad for not giving my full attention to that.
Brutal. I don't know. Anything else? What do we got?
Man, we've covered a lot of ground here. It's good stuff.
Yeah. You think you'll get out hunting with your dad?
Yeah, packing will be fun. As I won't be here for the like alien hunting season where it says alien on my fishing thing, because I'm I'm a little too far to be like local subsistence hunting. But yeah, I'll definitely try to get up a mountain or two with him. I'm excited for that because I haven't been in the Alpine in a minute. And then hopefully he doesn't shoot anything and I don't have to pack anything down. So should be good. But yeah, no, that's the summer Alaskan lifestyle continues to benefit, and I highly recommend, because it's great stuff to be able to get out and do every little bit of everything.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming over here and helping out with the baby shower and all that, and enjoy the rest of your time up here.
Yeah, congrats. You guys are going to be awesome parents.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think we might save some stuff for when we're around you. There's going to be always some utensils on hand to make some noise.
I won't give them their drum set until like year 2 or 3. How about that?
Yeah. Or 18.